Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate. And you know what? Question that came up, Patrick, what is a buyer's market and what is a seller's market?
Yeah, we get this question all the time, right? Like people want to have some context before they even start. They're getting serious. We talked about like, what does it cost to buy a house? What do we need to budget the house? And then what follows that question? Are we in a buyer's market or seller's
market? And I think we'll talk maybe about the definition of one versus the other, but let me just put it out this way in a really broad brushstrokes. In a buyer's market, there is enough inventory that if you are the buyer, you have some time that you can look at multiple properties, you can make some choices and maybe get a better price than what it's listed for, depending on how it was listed in the first place. Whereas in the seller's market, if you're the buyer, you don't have that many options, and there's a lot of other people along with you that don't have that many options and are, prepared to pay more for a property than the listing price, or close more quickly, or write an offer right away. And I think that's generally, we can say that's what one looks like versus the other.
They feel completely different.
Yes.
Like in a buyer's market, you'll notice that there's no sense of urgency in the market.
Right.
If you looked at a place today, let me think about it. And then, it could be the weekend, could be a week, could be whatever it might be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no pressure on buyers. I think those are some of the distinctive things.
Yeah.
If you started looking for a property, I think you would notice that already.
Yes.
It wouldn't be in the news. The news probably talk about doom and gloom. And then that seller's market, it's almost like you have so much sense of urgency, so much pressure. No one has to put the pressure on you.
Yeah.
You have that pressure on yourself. If I don't get something, you don't know if you'll be able to get something later.
Yeah. And
because
not only
the prices would be increasing.
Yeah, and
typically.
And not only that, that after your showing there are four more, one right after the other, and you're walking out of there. And a lot of times when it gets to that point, we see what are called deferred offers, where the seller will say, okay, we're going to look at offers on a certain date at a certain time, so please submit your offer by this time.
Remember the days when we didn't have deferred offers?
Yeah.
Or you could say like a scheduled offer date.
Yeah.
I suppose, so people understand what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, right now we're kind of in Victoria, in the greater Victoria area, we're kind of back to that buyer's market, maybe in between. Every once in a while I hear about somebody coming out with a deferred offer situation, but typically that would tell me in this market that they've really underpriced it.
Right, that might be just the strategy. It might be a lot of details. It depends on what price range, what area it's in. Yeah, a lot goes into deciding that strategy.
Yeah. So to put that together, for what does that mean for you? I think that's the thing. What does that mean for the average person out there?
Well, so depending if it's a buyer's market or seller's market, or balanced, you're going to approach buying a home differently.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Like I said, if it's a buyer's market, there might be more time because the sense of urgency isn't there.
Right.
But if you found the right house, you've been looking for a while, and you passed on some houses, well, you should have enough context, reference points to like price, condition, locations, and by you look at a few houses, you'll start figuring out what's really important to yourself if you take the time to reflect on that.
Sure.
That once you find the right one, you shouldn't need to think about it. It should stand out to you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, wait a minute, this checks off 8 of the 10 boxes, or 7, or it's going to score high on your needs and wants list.
Right.
That you should be making that offer right away.
Yeah. And I think
as opposed to a seller's market, where all the pressure and the
Yeah.
sense of urgency is on the buyer,
Yeah.
where you might not be able to get something that ticks off all the boxes, but it's available.
Yeah.
It's in the right school district, school catchment,
Yeah.
and it's sort of
It's
close enough to work and
Yeah.
those things, right?
Like you could be like, I'll buy it and I'll do some reno work on it because this isn't quite the way I'd want it, or that's not quite the way I'd want it.
But there's hardly anything available.
Right.
Yeah.
And people have asked what's best, and people who are selling will say, well, the seller's market is the best, and people who are buying will say the buyer's market is the best. But really, I think the best market is when it's balanced, because you as a seller in a seller's market, that's great that you're able to sell your home and maybe get more than you were asking for it, and there's all the interest and all of those things. But the other side of it is, unless you're leaving the area in which you just did your sale, you're going to have to buy a home.
You will become the buyer. All the irrational behavior from the buyers that bought your house, maybe unconditional offers, big deposits, no inspections, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, take that as an example that you might have to behave the same way. Your offer might have to reflect that to be able to get the property that you're looking for in that kind of market.
Right. Yeah. So really, it works best for everybody in a balanced market. Are we always in a balanced market? No, not really. I think right now in the Greater Victoria area, we're probably leaning on the buyer side.
Yeah, yeah. And we're talking big broad brush strokes here, where it's probably more on the buyer's side.
Yeah, and I think that also depends what it is and where it is. We're not in so much of a buyer's market that everything is going to take, an extended period of time to sell.
I've always looked at it. So, giving an idea for the Greater Victoria area, I've always looked at like Oak Bay, or let's say near UVic.
Yeah, Gordon Head, yeah.
Gordon Head is sort of the eye of the storm.
Sure, yeah.
If it starts getting busy in Victoria,
Yeah.
you might be getting multiple offers there. You might have a seller's market,
Yeah.
depending on the price range, depending on the house, depending on if it's condos or something like. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a lot more to look into than me just saying that broadly.
Yeah.
But it won't be the same in Souk. We
Yeah,
could have
for sure.
multiple offers in Victoria,
For sure.
and it could just be a balanced market in Souk still.
Absolutely.
So that's how it could be that much different across the Greater Victoria region.
Yeah. So bring it to, somebody that's watching and trying to decide what to do. We always say it this way: when is the best time to buy a home? When you need to move, when you need to find a place to live. So if you need to move right now, this is the time that you have to work with, then you need to work accordingly to find the right property. And this is where you need to work with a professional who will be able to help you navigate the market, knows what's going on, and will work with you with, whatever needs to happen.
I think knowing the difference between them, that's exactly what people need to do. I think having some knowledge about what's the difference between a buyer
Yeah.
and a seller's market and a
Yeah.
balanced market
Yeah.
helps set your expectations going forward.
Right.
So if you're lowballing during a seller's market, you're never going to buy a house.
Not going to happen. Nope.
And if you're lowballing during a buyer's market, well, it might not be a great way to start, but you still might be able to get the place that you want.
Yeah, and
It's a difficult way of doing it.
yeah, they're going to
but
be more open to negotiation.
They're going to be open to
But
negotiation.
we always say this is, I always tell my clients, I'll present any offer that we come up with, but if it's like horrendously low, all we're going to do is alienate the seller.
Oh yeah, it's not starting off on the right foot, right?
Right.
That's it.
So, yeah. So, what do you need to do if you're talking about, buying a house in the buyer's market, seller's market, whatever it is? Start the process. We talked about it in another video about contacting your mortgage broker and finding out what your numbers look like, and then working on your budget so you know what your expenses look like as a homeowner or a condo owner versus being a renter. And then reach out to a professional. You can reach out to us. Our information is in the contacts. We're happy to help you kind of navigate the whole process and find out what works best for you, whether it's first-time home buyer. I've dealt with many of them, or whatever whatever place you're at in that context. I know we have some luxury listings right now. We have some businesses, so we cover it all. So reach out to us, and we're happy to help. and get you what you need. Thank you for watching.
Awesome. We'll catch you in the next video.
See ya.